though. This could be huge. Manages to find them.
Two matches down and 2 matches to go. But before we get there, Dev, that may well have been a banging first matchup for the Chiefs and Order rivalry.
Certainly is. The rivalry was there back when they were under different organizations, and it has continued, but it's gotten spicier because it is 2 of the biggest organizations here in Oceanic Esports. So fantastic, and big ups to Order. I saw on their Twitter a very good meme offering a bit of a trade. We get +2 overtime win, we get +1 overtime loss. I guess Chiefs accepted it.
What? What are they doing? They're sleeping on that. They're sleeping on that. They stole all the points away from them. I love that from Order. Good banter. But what's even better than good banter is getting fit. Dev, show us your arms.
But
okay.
I will once I have gone to Snap Fitness, which I actually signed up for today.
That's it. And what you can do is actually sign up today and get the first 4 weeks. Well, first 4 weeks, but weekly payments for $4. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a bargain. And someone like Dev, I wish he'd show us out his arms, because I tell you what, he's going to become an absolute animal by the end of this season. Mark my words. We'll do a comparison, or maybe not the end of this season. We'll do a comparison with him when he starts bulking up. But if you'd like to know more information, !SNAP, S-N-A-P in the Twitch chat. And that's how you get exactly what you need. But what we need is to move on, Dev, and we need to move on into Bliss and Wildcard. This is... I don't even know what to say. I feel like both of these teams have swapped. It's Freaky Friday.
Yeah, Bliss is currently, well, aside from that Order result, right? Started today, Bliss #1 in the standings. And a chance to get back there if they can take down Wildcard. Previously the #1 team. Now, while Bliss may have shot up out of nowhere, this roster has been around for such a long time, and they actually have a storied history with Wildcard. Bliss, in the past, you look at their head-to-head wins, and they have seriously taken it to Wildcard. Last time these guys played in OCN 2020, Wildcard only just won 8-7, coming back from an 0-5 reverse sweep. Now, if you were here before we started our games today, you would have seen that was the historical match being shown on stream. And even when you go further back in the past, Bliss does have some good results. Way back in Pro League a year ago, Bliss actually beat and drew Wildcard in their matchup together. So these guys are no pushovers.
No, they certainly are, and, you know, Repix can't kick a ball to save his life. Moving on to Wildcard now, a team that we have known and loved and praised for so long in the Oceanic scene, and they are now coming back into some good form after some untimely issues for one of the biggest members on their lineup. Silex has now stepped in and stepped up to the role that was Diesel's. And to be honest, he's done a pretty good job when we look at the past couple of results that they have been having. But not only that, I think just overall, it looks like the team's getting a lot more comfortable, Dev.
Definitely. Of course, the first couple games in APAC South and OCN this year, Wildcard looked really, really rough. They had some tough games, but they got back into the swing of things, and they've had some really big victories. In fact, they took down Knights in the APAC South League. Massive upset. Massive upset. And now going against Bliss, well, in potentially a much less formidable opponent. So Wildcard are certainly back into the swing of things. They might not be the Wildcard of old, but I think they're well on the way.
Well, we'll wait and see how we unfold this one as we go to the storytelling, the veto process. We're going to Consulate! Why would you take Wildcard to Consulate? Why? Why would you take them there?
I mean, these days, no one wants to go to Consulate at all. It's like that, the bullied kid in the map pool at the moment. Sadly, while Consulate does not get much play. But if you're going against Wildcard, I can see why you would ban it. These guys are so damn good on the map. Since October last year, they have played it 4 times, and they have won it every single time. Most recently, we saw 7th Heaven take a crack at putting Wildcard's test on Consulate to shame, and no, it did not work. Wildcard won a very, very dominant 7-4. The time before Wildcard played it, they beat Order 7-1 in the November Major. The time before that, they beat Knights 7-1. But before that, they beat Chiefs 7-2. Like, this is arguably Wildcard's best map, and they've proven that even since subbing out Diesel and for Silex, it's clear that they still can play well on this.
And it's funny, because back in the day, when we used to get the loser interviews, we also used to ask them, why did you take them to Consulate? And each and every time, they were like, I don't know why. They're too good on Consulate. And now Bliss, the team in fine form in OCN, have decided to tempt fate. To Consulate we go. If Order proclaimed that they were the best on Oregon in Oceania, Wildcard have well and truly deserved the title of best on Consulate, but it may be contested today. Team Bliss, do they have what it takes?
Big gusto from Bliss to go to Consulate. Of course, they're no chumps on the map, but they even lost it in the OCN relegations to PC 419, arguably one of the weakest teams in that tournament. We haven't seen much from Bliss outside of LPL and the relegations. They won it once and lost it, as I already mentioned. So, big gamble here for Bliss. By all rights, this should be a wild card game, but as we get into the ban phase, a ban that you don't see every day. Two bans you don't see every day here. The IQ ban. So let's couple aspects here of the IQ ban, right? So Valkyrie is really powerful. So is Echo on this map. Banning IQ basically forces the Valk ban, even if it wasn't going to happen already. Wildcard gets rid of it. But the other thing is that Vinny from Wildcard is a comfort IQ player, really, really good with the G8. So I like that ban from Bliss, just trying to throw Vinny off his guard. And it's the same case as well with Wildcard banning out Zofia. Repix is an insane Zofia player. Good on Wildcard for trying to counter-ban him. We'll see if he can still land some shots.
And
I love this.
Okay, we've... the band phase has been kind to us, Dev, and we get to turn our tune a little bit deeper as... Will it have the impact that we're hoping for, that they're hoping for? Will it impact the gameplay? We'll find out down in Cafeteria first. In the basement is where we begin this story. Nazgul bringing that wall denial of Bandit. And was it 7th Heaven, that matchup against Wildcard, where they weren't bringing the wall denial? I don't actually think either team were, and there you go, surely. There we go.
6 pick off. I guess there's too many ways that you can counter the wall denial on this map, especially because Thatcher is in, right? IQ and Zofia banned out. That leaves you the big hitter Thatcher in the cards, so yeah, definitely not going to try and lean too much, rely on wall denial. Instead, Bliss is going to favor a strategy that prevents teams from entering, such as these at Rooney Gates. You can see Shade's already placed 2 on that main garage wall, meaning that Wildcard's going to have to burn through those before entering. And we didn't really touch on it, but I like that mute ban. A lot of people are going to be like, what? That is so strange. That's equally strange as this Zofia and IQ ban. But if you've watched a bit of Bliss, you'll actually notice out of their last 5 games, they have banned mute 4 times. They hate mute. They always ban him. And we've spoken to a couple people in the post-match interviews, and they just say, yeah, we like droning and we don't like getting muted. It speeds up our attacks so much and we don't have to deal with mute. So fair play to them. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some Mozzie taken though later.
Yep. That will have to wait until the second half if we want to see the impact of what that would be like for Team Bliss's attack.
Hello?
And no.
How did he actually get an injure on that run out? Like, that is ridiculous from Shade. Pat low HP though, that actually is quite important. So Pat's the main player who's going to be engaging the vertical, so he's going to be... All right, Wildcard, just run away with it. This is, you know, your favorite map after all. But as I was saying, right, Pat low HP could have an impact here because he's going to be using his sledgehammer to open up all of these angles down into the site, and he's low HP, so he's more vulnerable not only to fire and shots through the floor, but also to those C4s.
So, Shade notorious for doing some shady things, no matter what the map is. That doesn't surprise me that he's tried to go for something, but just doubling down with Nazgul getting caught out, believe that was a piece of stairs. Just not not what the doctor ordered here for Team Bliss early on. And Wildcard, as we have been touching on, have been coming into their own recently, have been looking so damn good. And it's terrifying to think that Diesel or no Diesel, sub or no sub, they can be this this dangerous. And oh, Oda looking for the cheeky peek. Unfortunately not going to be given anything for it, but a 5 versus 3. I mean, generally you'd see most teams convert this, but a team that's so methodical like Wildcard, surely that has to happen.
2 players, though, for Wildcard, really low HP. Even though Oda's taken a lot of damage, so have Geo and Pat. Wildcard can engage the vertical play. Ooh, I like that from Vinny. Getting some info there on Oda. Because he scanned the blue footprint, not the red one, he only gets the 1 tag. If he'd scanned one of those red footprints, he would have actually gotten a couple more tags. Just a little thing. Probably not going to have a huge impact. Repix finally takes down Pat. Finishes off what was left of him. 40 seconds remaining. And Bliss eager to contest these vertical lines. Wildcard really need to make some progress here.
They've definitely been stunted out, haven't they? That's Vinny opening it up, though, and Repix going down. Now they've spotted Geo, but they've got 2 players to deal with, both in security right now. I just don't know if they've got enough wind on this. Silex is going to have to go for this plant, and they may just have to go for cafeteria here. Geo, can he cause any sort of nuisance? This is huge.
No.
Team Bliss have played this magically, but what? How has Oda been able to down one and find another? It's Emo Rin. He can't find the kill. And Team Bliss walk away with it. How? Why? What has happened?
A lot of questions after that round. 3v5 win for Bliss. The timer eventually being Wildcard's demise, as we have seen being the case for them recently. The clock ticks away and they just do not know what to do. Big thing that round is the fact that Silex didn't actually really get a good breach off on the garage wall. It was just 2 lines of sight, and the wall itself there wasn't an entry hole for him. And I didn't actually catch what happened, why that happened. I'm actually going to go and watch on the replays right now, see if I can figure it out. But I don't know whether it was an impact trick. I'm looking at the util. There was 2 impacts up early on. Fast forwarding. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't understand what happened. These impacts weren't used to counter the breach. So I have absolutely no idea why Silex didn't just make a walkable hole.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
It's definitely an issue, Dev. That is without a doubt. So on the back of this, I mean, it's not, you know, obviously in a 5 versus 3 situation, you definitely want to be converting it, but I guess the promising thing is it's so early on that it shouldn't really be impacting Wildcard that much. They should just be able to brush that off and move on. And we've heard Vinny say a couple of times that they really haven't been scrimming a lot recently, and so OCN and APAC South is where they're getting a lot of their gameplay from, which I think makes them even more dangerous than they've ever been. I personally think that the fact that they have not been scrimming means that they are just going off the seat of their own pants, and it's, I mean, by all means, it's definitely caused a lot of teams some serious trouble. So with that round in the books for Team Bliss, we'll definitely keeping our eyes peeled on how Wildcard really approach this, but I do enjoy a cheeky vigil being shown.
Yep. I like the vigil pick from Naz. He's been a good player in Bliss's hands so far. Bit of a mixed bag, though. He was MVP of the relegations tournament, which Bliss, you know, think about that, actually. Put it into perspective. Bliss is currently sitting at the top of OCN, or at least they will be if they win this game. And they came from relegations. They almost were sent out of the league.
I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds a little outrageous that they are so high right now. Shade had the opportunity to shoot that off, but instead goes aggressive and tries to use the sound as bait, but it cannot work. And now, once more, Wildcard have found the opening pick.
Bliss starting to peel back. This is a lobby defense after all. Top floor is just the first point of contention. Repix playing yellow stairs. Yokai's from Oda to support. I like that. But as of yet, Repix yet to find a pickup here. Wildcard have made some good map control, but this is really where they've suffered, Rob. This mid to late round, their pre-execute, it's just been so bad. They've really struggled with their time management and setting themselves up for an execute.
Oh, a nice little peek from Todd there to catch Emo in unaware. I don't know how many air jabs have been placed either, so we'll now move forward with it. Appreciate it, Guzzle, but no need. Need.
Only 30 seconds left. Imorin's gone down. He's been one of the best players for Wildcard as of late, but Geo steps up, takes down Repix. 3 players left for Bliss, 4 left for Wildcard, leaves them in the favor, but they've got to make this execute work, and things can get sloppy in the dire moments. 15 seconds. Here comes the Yokai. Here comes Nazgul walking through the smoke.
Oh,
Where is the execute for Wildcard? You guys have got to go right now, and Todd is making this a mess that Nazgul cleans up. Unbelievable.
I mean, you said it, Dev. You said it best. They look so good in the first 30 seconds, minute. They've found the opening pick twice now. And then all of a sudden, they crumble in the mid-round. They start to get into the latter parts, and on both occasions, Team Bliss have had their numbers picked in a man or a 2-man disadvantage. I mean, this is not what we would be looking for, not what we would be hoping for from Wildcard so far, and it's kind of echoing what we saw from the Chiefs in the previous match on Coastline. With such a good start, you know, incredibly good clear, roam clear, but it's the execute, it's the final phase of the round where these teams are starting to stumble a little bit.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
And I don't, you know, you really don't want to bat on about it too much or beat the dead horse, but we are definitely looking for more from Wildcard.
Especially considering when, you know, we hyped up this game saying, wow, you know, Bliss have been so good this season, but Wildcard are returning to form, and Consulate is their map to lose, right? Wildcard have been so good on Consulate, they already defeated 7th Heaven quite handily in Apex South. If you have a look at that game, Wildcard won 4 out of the 7 rounds that they won were attack rounds. And so far, Wildcard have looked hopeless here on attack. Like, if you will give them something, like the start of their first round looks great.
Yep.
Even like the start of their second round looked pretty good as well. They found the opening pick, and then Todd went and got a 4K.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, especially when it came to that 4 versus 3 execute. But Wildcard didn't find a single kill, and all 4 of their players died. Like Todd literally just in lobby, like a statue, got 3 kills with no refrag.
And I do question for Shade right now. You know, he's died both times, and both times he's been wildly aggressive. One was a run out. The second, he walked into 3 players by Printer. You know, I wonder how much harder Wildcard's job becomes if Shade just... he doesn't have to sit back by any means, but if he's not playing outwardly aggressive in that kind of way. So... And right now, that looks like what's happened. This time, Shade isn't going for a ridiculously over-the-top play, and Wildcard have been pretty much stunted in their progress toward anything at the moment.
Minute down, Wildcard attacking the top floor. This has been a sight that's gone down the toilet for the defense as of late. Especially these Jaeger where my nerfs have made it so it's so hard to hold yellow stairs, and that's a great showing from Wildcard. Demonstration of excellence, abusing Nazgul. Doesn't matter if you're playing Wamai and you have ADSs, Wildcard will burn through it all.
And now the old Wildcard would have already droned Todd, and Todd would have been forced back, but right now he just sits and remains all the way down in the basement. And if they do not deal with the Maestro's Vinny, no, that's so unfortunate.
That was, wow. a very deadly smoke grenade from from Oda. That is actually massive. There's so much info gone, and a big player in Vinny off the cards.
Now's where we need to see Wildcard change their approach up. Repix now caught down in piano. Wildcard, they will need to make a decision, and Emorin goes for the swing, and he'll get caught. Right now, Wildcard are in all sorts of problems. I don't know how many of the Maestro cams have been able to deal with, but that's another from Repix as Geo manages to trade out. He now has to solo hold as Silex goes for the plant. Dev, is it going to be confirmed in time? Just. Silex is still alive, and Geo hits a gnarly shot onto Shade. It's now into the 2v2 retake.
Oh, and Silex holds out. Todd in a 1 versus 2 looking to peek CEO windows, but the jig is up. They know where he is. Plus, there's a Nomad on the board. He soaks up that air jab. Somehow managed to spray through, but Geo cleans him up. Wildcard finally get a round on the board.
Oh, I can almost hear Xenox screaming the Church of Geo from here. That's a huge round from him, all things considered. Silex going for the plant. Geo just holding and waiting for that moment in time in which Todd attempted a cheeky run out. It had to be done. Something had to be done. And Wildcard, although they started to slip away from that round win, they hold strong. Take it back in a 3 versus 2. So far, every round has been won in a deficit.
What I was going to say is I really hope that Wildcard picked Thermite instead of Ace this round, and that's exactly what they've done. Really glad to see that. If we cast our mind back to that first Garage Cafeteria attack, Wildcard actually had a 5v3 man advantage, right? And they just failed to breach Garage Wall. They had 2 lines of sight, 2 panels open right at the top. And I looked back on the replay on the clean feed that I've got, and I couldn't see any reason why Wildcard didn't just actually have an entryway breach. But all they had was 2 high-level lines of sight. Now, yeah, those lines of sight are useful for cutting off players in sight, but like I don't see why you wouldn't want the entire wall open, or at least an entryway with Ace. As soon as there's no entryway, the defenders know that that's one less thing to worry about. Really, the end goal here for attack should be breaching as much of that garage wall as possible. And that's what the Thermite is good for, so I'm really glad that Silex has gotten that this time. And if you have a look at the defense, once again, there is no wall denial. So that should be the garage wall for free. And honestly, if Wildcard get that done, I feel like then that's just the only thing that was missing on their last attack.
You know what? I take it all back, Dev. Shade needs to do something stupid to fire up Team Bliss. He needs to go for another run out and die immediately. Because right now, that is the only determining factor into why Wildcard was able to win that previous round, no matter what you say. I'm sure there's some salty people in chat that definitely think I'm being serious there. And just like that, Repix goes down. Nice pick from Vinny.
It's a good one. Remember, this was a 1v1 last round where Bliss won it on time because Emorin was nowhere to be seen. Now, Shade is upstairs doing a bit of a generous roam all the way on the top floor at the moment. I don't think he's going to be hard hunted. Geo might go for it, but I don't think it's the case. I really like this from Wildcard, though. I think a garage-centric take is the play here. Silex is actually on the rappel watching for anyone around the top floor. Good position for him. Wildcard is setting up really well, but the thing is, Bliss have actually rotated and changed some of their utility around compared to last time. Mainly, they've got the Maestro from Nazgul. That's a really good plan-to-null operator, especially in tandem with the smoke, just licking down that HP bit by bit. So Wildcard are going to have to clear out those evil eyes.
I don't even want to think about what that looks like, Dev.
Well, licking down the HP. I'm glad you like my metaphors.
Is it like an icy pole? Is that what it looks like?
It's like a dog licking their owner's face. Have you ever had a cat before? Cats' tongues are dangerous. It's like sandpaper.
Oh man, they're deadly. They are deadly. I'll give you that. So too is Vinny, a 2K so far in this round, opening it up for Wildcard. Still, the Maestro remains. There is 30 seconds left on the board, and so many of the Bliss, actually all of the Bliss players are deep. They've still got the Smoke Babes on Todd and the Maestro cams to play with. They could do this.
Wildcard have to not fluff this up. There's a gas comes through. Salix going for this plant. Is there info? There's a player on the stairs covering, but Oda finds the first pick. Nazgul falls. Todd finds the... What? The plant's not down! How does this happen, Wildcard? You have to hold... No way! What was that round?
Oh man, Silex had to stick that behind. Well, he didn't have to stick that, but both Smoke Babes came out on one on the black car, one on the white van, and he had nowhere to go. He decided to stick it, and he was about 0.5 of a second off confirming the defuse plant, and it just doesn't happen in time. But then what happens from there, Dev? How is that possible?
I have no words, man. That was just absolutely horrible. I mean, I love Wildcard, but
Silex, I'm no part of this. I have no part of this.
That was such a bra moment. That was just... I mean, credit to Bliss, right? Like, I'm not taking anything away from them whatsoever. Oda, in particular, has been the singular reason why Bliss have just won their 2 garage defenses so far. He's playing Malusi, and he's been insane. Well, actually, you know, I will credit Todd, actually. Todd's Smoke Babe kind of won that round. At least it was the first step, right? Like, denying the plant, and then the fact that Oda managed to clean up all the kills. But
yes.
Wildcard in a 4v2, like, that was so doable. So doable for them. And it was completely thrown away. Some of it comes down to time management. Like, there are so many what ifs. Like, you ask what was the reason Wildcard lost that round, and I would say, well, how long do you have? Do you have do you have 5 hours in time for me to write an essay? Yeah.
Lick your tongue, or?
Yeah, I'll lick the essay. Lick it into existence.
I will say this though. Todd has had a massive impact in 2 rounds so far. One being that lobby press where he found himself a 4K, and then of course, then again in Garage. Todd's really done quite a monstrous job here. And it's not the full story, it never is the full story, but it's certainly given them a little bit more life here. 3-1 now, Wildcard are down. But they are certainly not out. They can't let these last 2 rounds go unattained.
Especially considering they will afterwards switch onto their defense. Didn't have a great record on their defense when they played against 7th Heaven recently in Apex South, at least not compared to their attack record. Like, it was, they won 3 defenses to and they lost 2, which was not as good, but at least they got the lead-off kill. Gio's been pretty strong. Say what you will about Wildcard. Gio has been a good performer. But here's a pretty deadly stat for you, right? Wildcard have won the opening pick every round so far. And it doesn't discount the fact that they are down 1-3.
So there you have it, very quickly, just going back to that previous round. We've just been confirmed it was 0.02 on the plant. Something incredibly close to that. It is so unfortunate that they weren't able to successfully pull that off, because they had the player on yellow stairs. They also still had someone way out the back. It could have been everything. We've talked time and time again about how hard it is to retake that. It's one of the hardest retakes in the entirety of Siege, especially competitively. And now Wildcard look to attack this lobby. And that Banshee still remains for now in the middle of the round table. In the closer round table, I should say.
pivotal player here for Wildcard is Emorin. And a pivotal player on the flip side for Bliss is Todd. Last time this attack went through, Todd won a 4K, and my god, this is hectic at the moment. That execute, the idea of it, just shut down as Nazgul gets into an aggressive position.
Oh, Todd, again, just having such a big impact. And now Pat goes deep. Emo just on the side. They have to hold this and ensure that they cannot push, but that is just what happens. Bliss collapse on Wildcard. And it's all over Red Rover. It is 4-1, and they are putting Wildcard to bed.
Running away with this game, Bliss, especially considering the attack is really where the meat and potatoes of Consulate is. So once they switch onto there, I mean, there is a chance for a reprisal from Wildcard, but Bliss have everything they need to take first place. Keep in mind, coming into this Playday, Bliss were first place on 10 points, but tied with Order. So the only reason Bliss were first was because of their round difference being better than Orders. Now, Order have taken 2 points from their game, so Order are currently 2 points ahead of Bliss. If Bliss win this outright without going to overtime, they take first place, and it's not even contested. Uncontested first place. I mean, I'm pretty sure that would guarantee them playoffs. I mean, I've tried to run the numbers, but there's just so many different results still left up in the air that it's hard to know for sure. Come tomorrow night, though, we'll have all of the possibilities, but I'm pretty confident in that Bliss winning this game will lock them in for playoffs and put them in a very strong position to take number one. Well, it'll just come down to their game against Knights tomorrow. Imagine Bliss winning OCN. I mean, imagine coming first seed out of the regular season. That puts them into the grand final straight away.
Okay, so here's a theory craft for you. All that Bliss need is 1 point here, and they need Rhythm to lose the next match, and they've secured playoffs no matter what. But like you said, that's not good enough. We want to see Bliss really ending up on top of the standings, because right now they have put themselves in the best possible position. If they take this map, they're 100% locked in for playoffs. No matter what happens, they're locked in for playoffs, and then it just comes down to the final game day and where the points are distributed, granted winning or losing, but they're definitely putting themselves in the best position. Nazgul, however, I can't say the same for him.
Nazgul actually runs away. Really forfeiting that position, but at least he gets away with his life. More than can be said for the last time he played this position. Now, this is Wildcard's chance to at least scrap a 2-4 half. They won this site last time they attacked it, but not everything was sunshine and rainbows. They only won in a close 2 versus 3. Still a good chance here for Bliss.
So far, so good. Vinny makes his way through the yellow stairs. Eventually gets the Banshee off the wall. 2 players, 3 players still below here. Vinny could line them up like ducks. He'll see the first. Repix has given himself away, but they don't, I wouldn't imagine they know how many players were down there. They have since rotated up Visa. And Shade is now back into position.
Usually a dangerous player, but yet to find a kill so far. Shade playing a very strong position. He can contest yellow stairs and he can contest CEO repel in. Ooh, really good info here on that bulletproof. Hasn't been destroyed as of yet. Likely to be done so by Geo in just a moment. There it goes. 50 seconds left. Geo was instrumental in Wildcard's previous attack onto this bomb site. Oda still has 3 gas canisters left, plus the C4 from Repix. So this is a lot of possibility here from Bliss. Wildcard have to get this execute together.
Once again, this is looking so similar. This time, though, Vinny doubles down. They'll go to site. The smoke bay will come out. Silex has just gone far enough in, but Shade swings. He swung from Con. Nazgul will be taken out. Surely that is getting done and dusted. Oh my God, Shade is going off right now. And Oda, he just has to sit back It's a 1 versus 3. I don't know whether he's going to be able to deny the plants or not. And this is going to be incredibly hard to secure. He's looking for the ones, he can't find it, and now it's into the retake, Dev.
There was maybe a chance there. He's got so much info fed by his teammates, but in a 1v3 retake, surely this isn't possible. SMG-11 in hand. This is going to have to be 3 insane 1v1s, but Vinny, a massive round from the Yana player. Wildcard scrap a 2-4 half, and there's still a chance for them in this game.
Well, I've got to say, Team Bliss have blown us out of the water. You could almost say they are the wild card in stage 1 of OCN.
Well, I can tell you who's not Wildcard, and that is Wildcard. They just haven't been playing like themselves. But, like we were saying, they scrapped. They've got a scrappy half. 2-4. It's, I would say, a C- out of that. Not the pass mark that maybe I don't know. Maybe that's a bit too generous. Honestly, it could be a D. Could be a D. For Bliss, I'd say a solid B. B plus maybe even. Yeah, there's definitely a good position for Bliss to be in right now. And Bliss fans, my God, you may well be looking at your team running away with OCN 2021, at least stage 1 here. Question is, can they keep up their momentum on the attack? I don't have much hope here for Wildcard. Like I was saying previously, they won 3 and lost 2 defenses against 7th Heaven in APAC South. Now, if the pattern repeats here, that would put Bliss on match point 6-5. So even if Wildcard can play as good as they did on that day, that's still not enough to firstly get the 3 points. I mean, that's going to be pretty massive. Like, for Wildcard to get 3 points out of this game, they've got to win 5 defenses on console. That's just so unlikely. For them to even get a win in overtime and push OT, that's going to be tough.
I think the one thing I'm going to say for Wildcard here, even though I am on Team Bliss's camp, I do think that the defensive side will give them more to work with. I think that it will allow them to play a little bit more freely. You can see Pat on the Vigil there, accompanied by Geo on the Mozzie. So there is a fair bit of intel denial, and as long as they can keep a fair bit of control and at least delay that top floor control from Team Bliss, I do foresee them being able to throw spanners in the work. And, you know, we know that this is not the same wild card that we've seen before, and I do think that that is the double-edged sword. It is the every which way you want it, and it could work in their favor. They just, it's going to come down to the smallest of margins, the 1%ers, Dev.
A lot of info for Bliss here, droning up that site, but Gio's actually got a drone of his own, thanks to the Mozzie pests. That's really good info as well for him. That nade misses. Vinny still has his shield to protect him. Also has a C4. He can deny that late plant if he's still kept alive. The dangerous thing here for Bliss is they're not seemingly taking piano control, which means they're just going to be trying to deny the vert thanks to Oda here. They're not actually going to be trying to use the vert to flush out these key positions. The main thing I'm worried about is that Pipes player in Vinny. He's going to be massive and really difficult for Bliss to shut down.
Yeah, this is, in all honesty, this isn't looking great for Team Bliss right now. You know, they still haven't been able to isolate Pat. They haven't taken piano control. You can see Nazgul on the other side of the screen starting to clear things out, but it may be too little too late. He's going to have to come down Cafe and try to take out the players from the back now, but oh, okay. It's a quick little trade, but my goodness, Wildcard, they will be able to find the kills that they need. The plant may go down, but Dev, I don't think it's going to be enough afterwards.
It's 2v3, 1v3 now for Oda. This is a tough ask. That diffuse is in a pretty good position for him to cover, though. He just has to make sure he can cover the cross. Silex to stick it in the smoke. Can his teammates cover him? Silex sticks it. Pat covers. Silex almost made his teammates lose that by gassing himself up. It made it so hard for his teammates to cover him. But thank goodness he stuck it. What? That was absolutely terrifying.
He used the smoke babe like it was a smoke grenade. What? Like what? I love that from Silex. That is that is the biggest brain play I've ever seen, Dev.
The problem is that doing so prevented his teammates from standing next to him.
Hey, did they win?
They did.
Okay, so how big's his head? How big's his... You know what? It's so big he couldn't even walk through the garage
Silex is
door.
actually a university professor. Well, not professor, but...
Okay, so you're going to sit here and you're going to tell me.
He teaches tertiary education. So Silex is about as big brain as it gets. But also, honestly, that was... it could have gone horribly. Like, he gassed himself up. And a teammate was right next to him, trying to cover him, but taking damage to the smoke. So that player actually had to fall off of protecting him. Thank goodness
all I'm hearing is excuses. All I'm hearing is hypotheses. You're not giving me what I want here, which is cold, hard stats, which is that Silex has a 7 head and masked himself inside of the smoke. That's all I'm going to say.
That he did. I love Silex. Always brings the goods.
You're going to see a whole bunch of ranked attempts on that now, aren't we?
Every single round. I mean, it's like, you know, we've seen on Coastline, people, they throw smoke babes onto the double window of billiards, and then they play a warden looking through the smoke. It's a strat like that where you're just like, why? Why do you do this?
Because it came off once in a comp game, and oh, Gio, no, that wasn't a shot from inside public bathroom out the piano wall. No, was it? Or did he go? I'm so confused.
I think he was in piano. He like peeked up from piano window, got that nasty shot. Very cheeky.
Oh goodness me! This game is just giving me all sorts. I'll tell you what. The last meta we played in the 22nd meta was very methodical, and I'm gonna say it. Sure, it was gorgeous in terms of, you know, strategic, but it was boring as anything. And I will say that this meta, or whatever is going on in APAC South and Oceanic Nationals, it is so much fun to watch.
Can't argue with you there. Gio. My God. Gio's been flashed out of existence, and they just rappel on in and push into public. That is the most ridiculous strat I have ever seen. Can I just say, Wildcard literally don't have a player on the bomb side, either bomb side, and Todd is sitting between the two bomb sites. Silex is trying to hold vertically, as is Pat and Emo. Repix on the meeting windows might deal some damage. Emo's looking to contest. Bliss have put themselves into a very funny situation.
Oh man, I'm so glad that that just happened on the back of what I've said, because it just bats home how mental whatever is going on really is. Whether it's the meta, whether it's the teams, I don't give a damn. This is making things so entertaining. And right now, Team Bliss, I mean, if you had just looked around... What?
Nice shot.
That's crisp. Crisp like an apple, Dev.
Bliss now shaping up for their execute. I like that they're not overextending too much here, despite Todd still being in public. And Wildcard's playing this so well. That's massive from Silex to fuse it down. Todd out of the game. Oda's been stepping up hugely this game, but he's got to find a 1 versus 3 clutch, and I just don't think that's going to happen. Rotating back into Piano, trying to plan at the stage, but surely Wildcard can lock this out. Not overextending too much, playing for the retake. Waiting for each other to get together, and there it comes through. Pat from above. And Wildcard, there they have it. Another round, and guess what? Out of nowhere, they've tied up the scoreline.
Defenders win.
What is going on? This is very entertaining, and
Thank you. I
man.
definitely needed to see that, Pat. Thank you.
that's one of those things that you need to see it once in a while. We need that confirmation that the world is still normal and the balance is still accurate. Now we are going to see archives and tellers for the very first time tonight, and as per very curious, we see a handful of different strats being brought, but I mean, you can't really, more often than not, we see the extension up top and the hold from below with no one really putting the intention on that second floor. And I think we saw that from Wildcard when we were watching that 7th Heaven game, Dev, so curious to see what their approach is.
Yeah, Wildcard played this Teller's site twice against 7 Heaven. They won it once and they lost it once. In fact, it was the round that closed out the game. Vinny had a big 3K as well. Now, for Bliss, looking to attack this. I like this really versatile lineup that they've gone with. I do wonder whether we're going to keep seeing this aggression from Wildcard in the early round. Get this, right? There is only one round so far of the 8 rounds that we have played where Bliss has found the opening pick. Every single other time, it's been Wildcard.
Yeah. That's insane.
Attackers
That's
moving in.
utterly
Locate the
insane.
bomb and defuse it.
I don't know who that speaks to, Wildcard or Bliss, but right now I'm starting to panic because Team Bliss is who I predicted to win this, and Wildcard are making it work. And I'll be damned if Wildcard actually take this map. I mean,
Pretty amazing.
it would, in all fairness, it would be utterly nutty. And once again, I can't wait to see the smile on Vinny's face if they do win.
Well, they've just won 3 rounds in a row. And now moving on to Teller's Archives. It's not one we saw from Bliss. They kept going to console office meeting, which proved to not really be that great. It was the only attack rounds Wildcard managed to win. We're onto that site. Silex, though, they've put their coach/sub into a pretty precarious position, trying to fend off. And, oh, there's a nice early pick for Shade. There's not been much in the scoreboard today, but he shut down one of the top players, that is Geo. Really good job watching for that aggression, and Silex still waiting here and starting to feel that pressure.
Sure, he'll deal with it cool, calm, and like a cucumber. Wonder if
my
that
God.
Snade is going to catch him. He hasn't really been pushed yet, and there's so much utility being expensed in here, Dev.
What?
This could be really devastating.
Caught off from 2 sides. Pat's going to find a C4. No! Odamu's just at the right moment. Great start here for Bliss. 5 versus 2, and Pat's lost his C4. This is everything they've been looking for. And this lead just furthering itself moment by moment. Imorin's in a massive position, though. If he gets a multi-kill here, it could be everything. But the trade comes through. Pat looking to get aggressive on the back of that. Repic says, what are you doing there, mate? Sit back down. And Bliss finally bucked that trend, and they have broken back ahead.
Only a matter of time, or so it felt. And thought Wildcard had done an okay job at burning away some of that utility and printer there. But the second that Team Bliss say, okay, it's time to get serious, Wildcard cannot handle with that heat. And it all started with Shade, mind you. So it's a good way to start things. Last time we saw that basement defense, Team Bliss had a really tough time trying to approach the site and figuring out what their best point of call was going to be. And hopefully on this occasion, they'll tidy things up. Love to see that, Shade.
Attackers
Love
need to
it.
locate and defuse bombs.
Surely this is the cafeteria rush, please.
That is a pretty cheeky prospect right there with the Ying. Bliss is one of those teams that don't mind pulling off some crazy stuff like that. In fact, in the historical match, Rob, that we were watching before today's Playday. It was Ferox versus Wildcard, so Bliss, their old org, from OCN 2020. And Bliss pulled off an amazing rush strategy attacking Jacuzzi gym bedroom on Clubhouse. They just completely yeeted that objective and held the post plant amazingly. So I would love to see a similar kind of aggressive attack here from Bliss. Thing is though, Rob, we've already seen 2 retakes successful from Wildcard. In fact, the only defenses they've won have actually been retakes where Bliss have actually gotten that diffuser planted. So sometimes the thing with a rush is it's good for taking control of site, but you usually lose a lot of players and resources in doing so, and it does leave you vulnerable to a retake, which Wildcard have shown that they're ready for.
Well, one thing that we should preface with that rush was that that was the only round they were able to win against Wildcard in that second half. So that's the big one we're going to talk about there. God now going to work with those charges. We'll get away scot-free. No one contesting him from White Van, so he's safe for now. And Team Bliss, this time with a little bit more protection in that middle wall, as Todd had opted for a wider charge.
Ooh, that nade. Not sure what that got. The second nade would have gotten the Evil Eye or Bulletproof camera that was... I think it was an Evil Eye? I don't know what it was. In the corner, hard right corner from Nazgul's perspective right now. A lot of util that Wildcard set up here, and this is becoming ever more popular in the meta these days as teams like to attack Garage without really trying to take any map control. They just push Garage, they'll have someone over here where Oda is looking to prevent any defenders in Piano, and then basically just destroy all the attackers' utility on site and then execute from there on. Thing is, will Wildcard be able to hold onto these mirror windows and make something work with them? And how much of an impact will this Ying have in the execute?
That's of everything right now, Dev, that's the only thing I care about is what is this Ying? How are they going to utilize this Ying right now? Because that is going to cause some certain spices, and in come the smokes now. So that's okay. I saw it, Dev. It's okay.
I believe you.
They haven't really done anything off the back of that either. And, well, okay, there you go. So, Wildcard don't actually have a lot of information. And you can tell the smoke canister came out straight away.
Just trying to bait some utility, I think, there from Bliss. 40 seconds left, and with time ticking away, it means that when they take their shot, they better not miss, as they'll be short on time. Shade here, Vitality Charm on the T95. A nice nod to Hungry from that team. Notorious Ying player as he sends in the Candelas. It's only a matter of time. Todd forcing down that diffuser, full HP, fully blind, but the gas starts to make this difficult. Todd's gonna stick it, and this will have to be another retake from Wildcard.
Problem is, they do have somewhat of the safety behind that concrete wall right now, so Shade is going to have to try to deny them getting in. Otherwise, it's going to get a little bit tricky here. It is a 4 versus 3, and you can see now Pat's going to stick it with the security of the rest of the team. Silex can't get anything. Oh, Shade nearly finds him. Geo goes massive. God. What is happening? Repix can't find the kill, but it's actually a trade. Geo comes out on top. What on earth is that?
That was absolutely insane. Back and forth there between those players. Pat, daring as he is, dash right in there for that disable. And my God, if it wasn't for Repix above, that round would have been open and shut. But Repix used the verticals, the late play from him to rotate into Piano, get a vertical angle to protect that diffuser. He denied Pat, but thankfully, Emo pushed up. And of course, Rob, it was a trade. So both of those players fell, and it was all on the last player on site to finish it off. My God, this has turned out to be an incredibly exciting and close game, with Wildcard completing their 3rd retake this game, and tying it up as well.
Todd?
Is that Amaru I see?
Todd?
Oh,
what are you doing, Todd?
Oh, I think I have an idea. I think I know what he's going to do. Yeah. Guz knows it. They're gonna go up the hatch, up the public hatch. Last time, Bliss went for like a really aggressive strategy. They just triple flash the only player on site, I believe it was Geo at the time, inside public, and then they repelled in through antechamber. Now, Guz is telling me that Geo actually reinforced the hatch last time around, and I don't think they've reinforced it this time. No, they haven't. So that is vulnerable to be Amaru. I don't know what this is saying, but Geo, for whatever reason, decided not to Rio it this time. Does leave that vulnerable. Of course, Todd also could just Amaru into the window he repelled into last time at antechamber. He's got some site information. That's really pivotal. What is the play here for Bliss?
Say what you will, OCN is entertaining. I don't care. I don't care. Say what you will. This is just... Oh!
Jesus.
See you later, alligator. In a while, crocodile emo in. Oh, that is gnarly. The little 1-2 tap. And now Team Bliss are... Well, one, they've got the opening pick, and two, what are they doing with this Amaru? What are they going to do, Dev?
Renegade disabled. Biding their time now. There comes the Lion. Charge on through. But still waiting. Not aggressive as of yet. Wildcard holding onto their horses, but Pat with the pulse is a great player for getting information on wherever this plant does go down. He's above. He can get information looking downwards and potentially deny that plant through the floor. Geo may well feel the full brunt of Bliss in just a moment.
Oh, Todd, don't do this to us. We heard the Lion EE1D and you don't even go in at the back of it. He's thinking about it still. We've still got plenty of time here. A full minute 30 on the clock. Geo doesn't spot the glimmer of the head on top of the piano window.
Oh, that's massive.
Oda. That's a second huge pick from him, Dev.
That's the smoke gone down as well. Plant denial becoming incredibly rare here for Wildcard. Nazgul reveals his position as he repels on him, but he lands the shot. That C4 does just about nothing. Vinny goes down all on Pat. The Pulse, who was above, takes down Naz. 1v3 with so much time here for Bliss, and they take us all the way to match points against Wildcard.
This is just so much fun to watch, because at the end of the day, Bliss is in great form. Wildcard is retreating from poor form into great form. And you couldn't ask for something better. So they're not... Wildcard aren't going to reattempt lobby. They had a... Okay. So they could go back there. They could reattempt it. They won successfully in that first attempt. The second one, they obviously just flustered then. But instead of going back and reattempting, they are going to go to the bomb site, which I would say has caused them the most problems, Dev. They got absolutely spanked in Archives Towers.
It certainly did. It was, what, 5v2, I believe, before they finally found a pit. See if Wildcard can have a bit more success this time around. A lot of it came down to Silex upstairs trying to hold this position that Emorin's setting up right now. He was cut off from every which way. It's not very successful. Now, the thing is here for Bliss, with that round and the guarantee that at minimum they are getting 1 point out of this game, they are certainly close to tying up order. They are only 1 point behind in the standings. They've reclaimed second place on the standings, and should they win from here on out, Rob, they take that #1 spot back off of order.
Pretty crazy to think. Now, the big one is Team Bliss, as you know, right now they've secured the 1 point, Dev. If Rhythm lose their next matchup, then Team Bliss have 100% secured playoffs. No matter what happens from here on out, they just need Knights to defeat Rhythm, and then that's it. But if they take the 3 points, my goodness, they are going to be flying. What a start Team Bliss have had in 2021. And right now, they are looking for all 3 points. It would pose them in an excellent position. Is that Oda again? What?
Certainly is, and that's Silex. He was trying to retreat out, but he actually exposed himself to that position from Oda. Geo goes for a very ambitious run out before being traded from Shade. 4v2 now. It's a slight improvement over Wildcard's 5 versus 2 last time they defended this bomb site, but Rob, let's be real. Surely Bliss can win from here on out. Pat has a C4. Emorin has one as well. Surely he doesn't pull that. He does! And Repix goes down 2v3. While there's a lot of time on the clock, there is a chance here for Wildcard. Bliss have to dot all their I's and cross all their T's.
Don't forget as well, I think you mentioned it, Dev. Emorin still has that C4 in his pocket. And so now, Pat can pass that information on, and they're going to play with the buddy system. I absolutely love this right now. Pat, they have so much information to play off now. That Aruni gate is actually going to give them away if they play too closely, but this is what we need to see. They're going to go for the big balls play, and they just can't find Shade. That would have been the diffuser down and everything, and now Nazgul's caught out Pat. It couldn't be any worse, but Emorin, you don't want to put him in a position like this.
It's a 1v1. Shade has been injured, and they have info on Todd coming up from the stairs. Surely he can get the revive, though. As Emorin drops below. Todd heard it. Todd's waiting for the peak, and he closes the game! Bliss take the victory! 7-5, and reclaim their spot as the #1 team in OCN.
Not only that, but they have 100% secured playoffs. What a performance from this roster. What a statement to make on Consulate. We said before the match, you don't take Wildcard to Consulate, no matter the form they're in, no matter the team they have. And Bliss have tempted fate, and they have come up trumps. How do you like those 3 points, baby?
What a unbelievable game. And Bliss, we thought that for a moment there was a reason that we were just waiting for other teams to overtake them in that #1 spot. But here we are in the one Playday to go, and Bliss have locked in playoffs and are looking like no one can top them off of this #1 spot on the standings. Could we even see Bliss in the grand final? Hell, could we even see Bliss take the championship here in stage 1 of OCN?
I mean, it's possible, right? Anything is possible at this point. And, you know, you look back on the season that has been, and Wildcard, they still have a chance to make playoffs, which is just absolutely crazy to think, right? They still have an opportunity here. It's going to rely on some pretty insane results, I'm pretty sure, from what I'm looking at. So they're not out of the count just yet, but I mean, what a performance from this roster that Team Bliss now have, you know, from the bottom of the standings, from relegations. They have come back, and boy, have they made a statement. Oda absolutely popped off.
Oda had a lot of really big impact kills and opening picks as well in that second half. He was so instrumental. Man, it's actually funny because if you look at the first half, Wildcard had the opening pick in all but one, in every single round, and then you look at the second half and Bliss had the opening pick in just about every single one. It's funny, I was speaking to Todd a little bit over messages a little while back, and he was saying that Bliss have actually had a really interrupted practice schedule, and they've kind of been off their game in terms of their whole scrimming and everything. So it feels like out of nowhere that they're suddenly the best team in O's.
That's just absurd to think. Absolutely absurd to think. And, you know, we're looking now at the fact that if they're able to secure points tomorrow night, that may be it. you know, where we'll do some theory crafting. Don't you worry, ladies and gents. We'll do some theory crafting, but they may well have playoffs. And I mean, they have playoffs. It just depends on how high they're going to go in the playoffs. And someone who might be able to answer that a little bit better is Oda. Oda, welcome in. And I mean, we're sitting here on the desk saying you don't take Wildcard to Consulate, and you take him to Consulate. What is the thought process behind that?
Yeah, look, our thought process was just like, we knew they were going to ban like Oregon and Club and stuff. You know, they're probably two of our strongest maps. That's all we played this season at the moment. We were thinking of cheeky Villa, but after their performance against Knights on it, we were like, nah, we're not feeling that. And we were confident on Consulate. We know we can take them to it. Obviously, they've always been a strong team on Consulate, like really, really strong. But we just thought, you know, we looked at a few VODs, looked at bans that we can do, how we can play, and we just drew straight to it. And I guess, yeah, we come on top.
I want to know what has happened in the last 3 months that has turned you guys from a team playing in relegations at the end of last year into consistently the #1 team in OCN. And honestly, with the way you guys are playing, and you know, your next game is up against Knights, so that's a big team, but it's totally plausible. You are starting to convince me that you guys actually have a serious crack at taking that #1 spot. You guys were in relegations, for God's sake. What's changed?
Yeah, look, going from relegations, obviously getting Repics in just opened up more entries and picks in like most rounds. And to be honest, everyone's kind of picked up their game recently. So obviously, like we've been having like hard scrims, you know, we've had net issues and all sorts of stuff. But really, everyone's just picking up like their game. The mental's going like strong into games and stuff. And then whatever prac we can get in, we get in, and we just try to do our best on what we can.
Now, talk to me about the defense. The attack at basement with the Ying. How does that come about? What's the call there that's made you explode like that? It was, honest to God, one of the funnest rounds I've seen.
So for that attack, we're just like, you know, we're gonna go straight side. We're not gonna map clear. In the pick phase, we're like, oh, we need smokes. So I think we're gonna play ace or something. But then Todd just goes, Shade, do it to him. Bring out the Ying. Just bring it out. So then we just, you know, we took what we needed. We got cams in, cleared info and stuff like that. And then Shade just goes, right, I'm sending it. And then everyone just goes in, Everyone just does their job.
Oh, man. Well, I tell you what, it made for a very fun round for us to cast and to watch. And so was the game. So congratulations on taking all 3 points from Wildcard and also for securing playoffs. And we'll see you tomorrow night for your game against the Knights.
Cheers, boys. See you tomorrow.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe, I mean, I can believe it. I did definitely predict them because, you know, the big old brain up here, it's wrinkly, it's rough. But it went to round 12, Dev, and even then, it was a 1v1.
Yep. Yeah, we had a lot of 1v1s, and you know, you look at the only rounds that Wildcard managed to win on their defense or retakes as well. So there was no doubt about it. Bliss had a strong attack. Every round they lost, they still managed to get the diffuser down, for goodness sake. Great job from Bliss, taking Wildcard to what is potentially, you know, regarded as their best map. Consulate is a very strong one for Wildcard, but Bliss just had their number. They stepped up massively. I really think, though, Bliss getting 4 rounds on their defense was instrumental for their victory here. So managing to claw back a lot of those, you know, 3v5 situations that they were put in on their defense. Sometimes that's all the recipe, and you know, you heard it from the man himself. Oda said everyone individually has been stepping up. He named Repix as someone who, you know, he's just finding openings each round. But I would put Oda there as well. Like Oda was finding a lot of opening picks, especially on that attacking half. On the Nomad, always just waiting patiently, holding a long line of sight, and the picks just fell into his lap.
Oda was so sharp that game. There's no denying that. You can go back and just have a look at his MLG compilation of kills. It was ridiculous, but that's going to do us for that matchup between Bliss and Wildcard. However, we have one final game. It is Knights taking on Rhythm, and we'll be back after this short little